Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in the Chronicles of Darkness, Vampire the Requiem, a Requiem for London. On this fine London evening, another clear night of the moon big and bright. The scene is set within the King's College, the Waterloo campus, just south of the river, tucked away neatly in Lambeth. And the largest chapter house that the Ordo possess within London, by far. And personal domain of Kogan Mackay. And this is where the magic of the Ordo happens. All of the experiments, all of the reports, all of the seminars, the chrysalis. So there, it is very much the capital of the Ordo's operations, in a sense. While there are many worms' nests within the city, only this is a crucible. It is the only one within the city. And Nikolai, you have received a text from your sire that she wishes to meet you within the college. At your earliest convenience. She wants to talk about what happened a few nights ago.
That's unexpected. But I will give her
quite distant, yes.
Yeah. I will give her a time and to meet, probably like a half an hour from the time I get the text, just so I can get ready, get over, try I'm nice and fully fled, presentable. It's more unexpected that what's really unexpected is she wants to meet within the college. So, after waiting a few minutes, after getting ready, I'll head over there. And
okay.
Do I have?
When you reach college, you generally know where to go. You've been here before. You've performed experiments here before. You've witnessed more than you've committed to. But they're generally speaking, the Ordo make use of various seminar rooms, but mostly use some recently installed biology labs to perform the experiments that they're inclined towards. they fit in quite neatly with the rest of the university. Um, no one would really pay attention. Well, not pay attention. No one would really notice that anything would be amiss here. Anyone within the college that does not register as kindred, you know personally as being uh, under the thumb of the Ordo in some way or another. In fact, you're aware that the Ordo controls the college more or less from top to bottom.
Interesting.
It's not controlled entirely by the Kogan, but she has both the higher and the lower powers enthralled to her, or so you hear. Middle management divided more evenly between various Ordo, usually those who show potential, get their own little slice of the university to themselves. You haven't really had that luxury yet. But
So within the city, from what I've been able to tell, does the Ordo, this particular iteration of the Ordo, gravitate more towards the scientists or the sciences rather than the occult? Am I an outlier in that sense?
it's a fair amount of both. It's kind of a melting pot. You know that the Kogon actually deals with largely with deals with occultism as
Okay.
opposed to science. Um, but there are also a significant number of Ordo beneath her that deal with definitely do things a lot more hard science. Um,
One thing my character
the two, yeah, the two sides often compare notes. There's not really any antagonism.
would definitely be interested in when he has time is to see if he can get access to any of these more private occult libraries that I'm sure are stashed throughout the college
Okay.
for research purposes, of course.
It is generally a it is a general rule of thumb within the Ordo that uh, they do not hide their research from each other or their experiments. Doesn't necessarily mean they don't hold knowledge from each other,
Yeah,
but any active projects they're working on are generally shared with the rest of the Ordo. So you can get access to general material that will be of use to you, perhaps more specialist, niche, or more closely guarded secrets you may need to convince certain kindred of influence to allow you access to.
of course.
Um, they are a little cagey about some of the things that they have in their possession,
Of course.
and aren't always, well, are rarely keen on sharing it with
Sharing.
neonates. They would likely require some sort of service or some sort of heavy convincing, but it is something that you'll probably have access to in time, should you prove your salt, as it were.
Noted.
But moving through let's move into the sort of main set of laboratories where a lot of lower-ranking Ordo are doing their work, um, both scientific and occultist. You do see your sire And she appears to be speaking with the Kogan. You can roll me with socialize if you want.
Oh god. A social skill. The horror.
People,
the horror.
what?
Just double check something. I rolled like a dairy farmer.
Oh, we got 2 ones.
Yeah. Good thing this isn't for first world.
Okay. So you can opt to make it a dramatic failure, at which point you will gain a beat.
With these two involved, I think I'll pass.
Okay. So you kind of walk up to them as they're finishing their discussion. She hands off some papers to your sire hands off some papers to the Kogan. You're not really sure what the whole discussion was about. It seemed cordial, but that's about as much as you can tell, really. It's not immediately clear what their relationship or working terms are.
How does my sire like to be addressed? From me personally.
In public, Seneschal. In public, Seneschal. In private, whatever you want.
All right.
Well, as long as it's not an insult, then she'll start demanding you call her Seneschal again.
All right. As Nikolai walks up, he will slowly incline his head and say, Seneschal.
Ah, my child. Kogan Makai, if you would please excuse me. The Kogan simply nods and looks at you both with a quaint smile. Before your sire walks up to you and says, Would you like? Would you prefer somewhere more quiet to speak?
If you find that is necessary, I'm at your disposal here.
It is not my domain, but I would not wish to disturb your sect mates and their studies. She says, she just sort of absently looks over at some of them. It's a very interesting and incoherent mix of research. Some appear to be examining blood, vitae. One has just kind of pulled out a gym mat for themselves and appears to be in some sort of meditation, in a state of hunger. Others are engaging in some weird sort of, in some very strange set of blood alchemy. It's very much a hodgepodge of different ideas.
I'll have to return and see what different research is going on and what sort of coils I can pick up here. But for now, I will go. Very well, my lady. Um, and start leaning her towards one of the or gesture for her to lead the way as I go, mutter under my breath, just soft enough for her to hear, but no one else. As far as I'm concerned, wherever you are is your domain.
It is appreciated, but I would not presume, particularly in front of Miss Mukai.
Gives a slight smile and nods. So I assume we're going to one of the more private labs or something.
You'll you'll head up a stairwell and enter a sort of what appears to be some a small staff room.
All right.
Lights off. Seneschal turns it on. It's a fairly small place. Small snack table, a bunch of chairs around it. There's a desk with a computer off to the side. Window overlooking the rest of the campus. When she closes the door, she simply says, "I wish to check up on you after what happened a couple of nights ago. Are you okay? Have you encountered anything?"
Well, that was interesting, but I was at the sideline for most of the conversation. I don't believe I've attracted any undue attention, unlike our friend, or unlike the potentially late Mr. Irons. I have not heard from him recently. However, I myself find that no undue will or entities of sorts have approached me. In layman's terms, how you Americans say, I am fine. Or as you Englishmen say, I am fine.
She was about to roll for frenzy.
I know. That was my faux pas. I meant to say
That's no
Englishman.
problem. I understand if you Ordo interact with many anomalous entities fairly regularly. I myself have even interacted with a few on occasion. It has been an interesting. Interesting is too broad. It was an experience. But yes, what Mr. Irons referenced is something I do not believe the Ordo should be trifling with anytime soon. Or ever, preferably.
I know what he referenced tends to make individuals disappear. I know it is something, I know it has a dark history. However, I do not know what the exact stigma beyond that is. If you feel the Ordo should not trifle with it, I myself will take your advice and try best not to touch on this. However, I cannot guarantee for others. We are, after all, a curious lot.
I understand, and I wish to see to your safety. I'd not see to the safety of your entire covenant. They are their experiments are their own responsibility, and should it destroy them, then that is ultimately their folly. But no, this is one of the few subject matters in which I hold authority over the Ordo, in terms of knowledge. My covenant was born out of the ashes of the Julii and what they had built.
Are we allowed to say that name in private?
Yes. I presume this location to be safe. I've also taken measures to ensure that myself. So we can speak that name openly here. I would never speak it openly in public. It is
Interesting.
the source of much superstition. But to call it superstition would be accurate. It tends to cause very tangible reactions when it is uttered.
So the
At least
name,
within London.
so the name itself doesn't carry a power. It is rather what that name represents. Does this have anything to do with the? I understand the Julii were once part of. No, let me rephrase that. I understand the Julii were one of the original clans. Is that correct? Or were they a covenant?
It is not immediately obvious whether they were the sixth clan or they were a fifth and were simply replaced by another. They were a clan that very much resemble the venture of tonight.
Let's see. And their demise came with the fall of Rome or before that? Was it to do with, given the superstition surrounding it, and especially in London, was their fall to do with the Romans' failure to conquest this island?
That is a very long story.
In
Frankly,
one,
I do not know it particularly well. What I can tell you is that Julii were among the most powerful of all kindred in the world and had built the largest and greatest covenant and the first. But their holdings in Britain were among the first to fall. The decline of the Roman Empire wounded them greatly. What came next destroyed them utterly.
raises a eyebrow slowly.
Needless to say, that which resulted in their demise still exists this night. They do not take kindly to being referenced. But I would like for you to know that those entities are the only things to ever truly threaten kindred.
Can
They
I
destroyed an entire clan, are now the only.
roll a call on this? I do have a specialty in vampire lore.
Yeah, you can. Roll me to understand more about. If you want to roll that, go ahead. You're actually totally right. Minus. What are you specifically trying to put two and two together on? or just like get a general understanding of the issue in general?
General understanding of the issue. See if Nikolai's ever heard of the Strix.
Okay.
And if he can surmise that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, that'd be Strix Law is very, very rare,
Yeah.
so that's -5 dice.
All right.
But your specialty does apply.
Okay. So I'm going to spend a willpower here.
Okay.
One success.
Okay. You are aware, just by having a general understanding of kindred history, particularly the history of the Camarilla, the knowledge of which is hard enough to come by on its own.
Yeah.
And as your sire says, it's really the Invictus that have the majority of the law on the Camarilla. Some Sanctified have some too. They are also very old, but it is the Invictus that carry its history with them. Some of which has been introduced to you by your sire,
Yeah.
and you could very easily put the pieces together through various artifacts and texts that you've examined. But Julii did not decline and fall because of the decline of the Roman Empire. It hampered them, yes, or rather, it hampered the Camarilla. It's very much crippled for Camarilla as it was so closely tied to the Roman Empire. But the Julii are separate from the Camarilla as much as they tied themselves to it. They were destroyed by something else. Something that seemed, from what you've seen, to single out kindred in particular.
Nikolai's eyebrows are going to furrow as he just responds, I see. The question I'd like to ask is why. However, I have the feeling that neither you would not, or let me rephrase that. The question I would like to ask is why. However, I have the feeling that such information is dangerous unto itself. And knowing such information would paint a target in my back. Am I correct?
I know of only one kindred old and powerful enough to possess such knowledge. I would not recommend you deal with them, not just because they are our political opponents, but because something that old does not perceive the world in the way that you or I do. And they do not necessarily see people as people, or you as a kindred.
I nods slowly and goes, I will try not to pursue this.
You can see her mentally note the word try.
Yes.
It causes her to look very troubled. I only tell you this so you can be aware of why I reacted the way I did, and why I'm as concerned as I am for your safety. But I am happy to see that you are all right.
Thank you, my lady. In the meantime, I am still setting up shop within the city. I plan on finding myself both a secure haven and then as well as a retainer of sorts. Any suggestions you might have would be most appreciated. Otherwise, if you would have any need of my service, I am happy to be at your disposal.
I may be able to help you with your goals if you would be willing to assist me in one of my own.
Oh?
It requires a delicate touch.
I will endeavor to be the I will endeavor to be the utmost delicate, like a feather falling from the sky. What do you have need of me?
I am aware that there is going to be a meeting between various kindred a few nights from now within a Tower Hamlets. I would wish for you to eavesdrop on that meeting for me.
You would like the
I have
spy.
reason to believe for a very... It has always been your specialty.
My character was what he was going to say is you would like the spy to spy. Gladly.
Cue surprise. I have reason to believe certain sensitive matters are going to be discussed there, and I would like to be informed as to what they are and whether I will need to react to what is discussed.
Very well. Do I know who these do I need to know who these individuals are?
No, all I need you to do is infiltrate the location and look in on the meeting. If you could acquire a footage of some variety, an audio recording will suffice. That would be even better, although not necessary.
I may be able to supply such things. However, I would ask for an advancement of sorts. Nothing untowards, but there will be some equipment required. I have the contacts. I just need the moolah. As you capitalists like to say, nothing truly moves without the money. AKA, I'm going to use my merit as my mentor merit to make some purchases later.
That's totally fine. She will. She'll say, Nikolai, you know I've been invested in you for quite some time.
Gives us all smile. Final thing. We know the location of this place. Do you have blueprints?
Hmm. I will see if I can dig some up for you.
That would be appreciated.
Your service is always appreciated, Nikolai.
Gives a small bow. Anything for you, my
I
lady.
must say, in a sense, you joining the Ordo is one of us.
Braces looks up and goes, "Oh, I've made stupid decisions. How shocking." Um, the Ordo seemed like a natural fit given my history with Bianca. Furthermore, it there are branches within it that I wish to pursue.
Her smile slips ever so slightly when you mention Bianca. But she reassumes her posture
Yeah.
and expression. Well, should you help me in this, I will see to it that whatever you require from the Order you shall receive. We have quite a strong working relationship for the most part. They
That
still
was
stubbornly maintain neutrality, but they are competently ran. And that is, well, it is very much a model system.
gives a nod. Very well. You you shall get your tape, and you shall get whatever other proof I can acquire.
It is appreciated. And thank you, Nikolai. If there's anything else you need, feel free to give me a call.
Of course.
You know I always have time for you.
Thank you, my lady. I hope everything goes smoothly on your end, and I will make sure to see you soon.
Thank you. And she will open the door and begin to walk out. Which point, Marcus, you've just entered the university yourself, or the Waterloo campus of it. Across the river from the bulk of the university, which actually conveniently resides within Invictus Domain, or rather inconveniently. But when you enter, there is a kindred that you don't recognize. They're just more formally than they're an overlay. But they still have that red line of paint over their face, and they what the okay, many cams doesn't want to work, and they look at you. They'll begin walking up towards you.
Marcus will stop, keep his arms nice and relaxed on the side, and wait for her to come up to him.
Him. He, Nikolai and the Seneschal can both see this. In fact, if you look around, you see Nikolai and the Seneschal walking out of a room and over a balcony towards a stairwell, which is well within your line of sight. You're in sort of a large, kind of a large atrium, and this gentleman walks up to you and simply says, "I paid a visit to your haven and you weren't there."
Another kindred had invited me to their haven. Safety numbers. It was a false assumption.
I'm Khan. I'm of the Axe. I generally don't like being given the runaround, and that's generally, well, that is exactly what has happened to me over the past 72 hours. So if you would please explain things to me. Why I'm getting a call from an Archon that you have faux pas so socially fatal that it could get you killed.
Because I didn't know I was committing it. I'm more than happy to give you the full details, although this subject might not be good for everyone to hear. Just thinking of the safety of my fellow Covenant mates.
Seneschal walks down. Nikolai can decide whether he wants to stay up on the balcony or not, but Seneschal walks down. She walks up to you. Her deep blue eyes and freckled face just sort of stare into you like drills. She simply says, "Ah, Mr. Irons, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that you have not met the final death."
No, I'm not out for the count yet.
She gives you a once-over.
He lets her. He doesn't resist her, especially if she is trying any mental tricks. He will actually let her.
Well, the interesting thing is that you can never really tell from a cat. That's what makes them scary.
Agreed.
She could be extracting all secrets from you right now. Everything she wants to know about you, she could know. But you're never really sure if they're doing it or not. They could literally be doing it as they speak. Many of them do. But,
because Auspex doesn't have resistance rolls like that.
It's not resisted, but it has no tells, so there's no way to really.
I was more thinking if she was planning to do some mental thing, just let me know. As in more dominate.
No. She just kind of looks you up and down. Her face changes to one of deep concern. You're not sure if it's for the situation or for yourself.
He's assuming situation.
That was faster than I had anticipated. And in Carthian territory, no less.
The other kindred was from the Carthian territory. She invited me over to her safe place.
Of all kindred so poorly equipped. You should remain with those who understand what they are doing. Idealistic children will be of little use in your situation.
Frankly, I wasn't aware what the hell I was dealing with until it happened. Doesn't make it better, but that's the facts. The overall air she will get from Marcus is a quiet resignation.
The Seneschal simply it doesn't really change all that much. It's sort of settled back into its more formal state, and she simply turns to Ken and says, "Well, I trust you to handle the matter. Personally, I do not believe there is much you can do. But if you believe they are worth the time and effort, I shall not stop you. After all, it is not my right, even as Seneschal. I shall be seeing you, Mr. Irons. Please come more well educated and dressed to social gatherings next time. We do expect better of the Ordo." Do not let them down again. And she'll simply walk out of the building.
He'll just silently nod.
Kern is just rubbing the bridge of his nose, funnily enough, sort of where the red paint is. Does Nikolai do anything?
Nikolai is going to wait for her to leave before approaching.
Okay. She does leave. She can be seen getting into into the back of an SUV, then being driven away.
Right afterwards, after that is when Nikolai approaches, because he was waiting at least to be respectful, because he's going to try to stay minimally involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
As he approaches and goes, "Oh, Mr. Irons, glad to see you've made it past this couple of nights."
Marcus looks at Nikolai for just a few seconds in a very critical sort of way, but then decides that he just smiles.
Nikolai just gives him that smile you see on the camera.
Yeah. Yeah,
Smarmy as fuck.
exactly. He's just looking at Nikolai and going, well, if you put any bets on my death, sorry to have disappointed you.
No. I'm an optimist in that sort of way.
Sure thing. Although I think our dear fellow of the axe would probably like some of my time. I've made them wait long enough, it seems.
Yeah, I see.
I suppose. I suppose that depends. You appear to be vaguely familiar with the incident, considering what you've said.
Me? Well, I have some knowledge about this man's social faux pas. I witnessed it firsthand, and unlike our lovely Mr. Irons, I have some background knowledge on the subject.
It would seem so.
It is good to be well read.
Mm. Well, I guess I had to get my information the hard way.
But come, if you are to discuss this, you best not discuss it out in the open.
That's what I've been trying to say all the time.
Nikolai's going to lead these two back towards the small office.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to, he trusted his sire's judgment beforehand. As soon as he gets in, this time around he's going to sweep it for bugs.
Okay. You could, in theory, use Auspex 1.
I don't have Auspex 1.
Oh.
I need
Never mind.
Auspex.
It's like plenty for an Ordo.
I know.
To the point where they specifically mention it in the book.
I know. I'm picking it up when I do my downtime. I was holding off on my downtime until I got to this point.
Okay. In which case, just make me a wits composure check.
One success.
There's no bugs in here.
Alright.
Wouldn't be able to tell if there's an obfuscated kindred in the room, but you know your sire is a fairly advanced practitioner of Auspex. So you reckon she could probably suss one out if there was one here, unless they were particularly talented themselves.
As he does so, he'll settle into one of the chairs and gesture for the other two to come in.
Yeah, they'll go in. Marcus. It's a fairly small staff room. A few chairs at the back, around a kind of based around a small table where snacks would be put down. There's a computer and a desk to the left. And to the right, there's just kind of totes and stacks of books and stuff.
Fair enough. Marcus will wait till the Sworn of the Axe has sat down before sitting down. as a sign of respect.
He sits down and he waits.
Marcus sits down.
No. Mr. Khan. That is what your name is, right? I believe I caught that.
You are correct, yes.
How aware are you of the Camarilla's history?
That is a very old name. It is a very unwelcome name.
I see. Well, let's just start off by saying our dear Mr. Irons here made the social faux pas of speaking of a name of a thing, of a what you would call perhaps a lost clan of ours in public. Something admittedly not many kindred know to avoid the subject. But then again, not many kindred know of this name. Those who speak it tend to incur the wrath of some
Entities.
something that does
Generally speaking,
not like the name spoken.
no, most kindred do not know. Even I know very little. I am not a scholar, but I spend much time with scholars, and they have taught me things.
Then you at least know what we are speaking of.
I know it is unwise to reopen old wounds. I understand the unconquered consider the utterance of the name particularly offensive to their sensibilities for whatever reason. But I have seen no need is to inquire why.
Well, dear Marcus made the very, very entertaining mistake. Is that the right word? Looks towards Marcus. Of saying it out loud in a gathering of the kin. And that is all I know.
I can see why some would take offense. I don't see why it requires myself to oversee you, however. But from what you said, Mr. Irons, there may yet be more to your story. From what the Seneschal has said, there definitely is.
There is.
So if you would like to continue where I actually did, Nikolai? I'm sure I actually did.
What did I do?
I was like, did you introduce yourself as Nikolai to Karen? I'm not sure if you did.
No.
No. In which case, isn't that your name?
So, yeah.
this gentleman
Continue
over
what
here.
Nikolai, and he gestures towards Nikolai, was saying. To give you a very brief backstory, whilst my sire was keeping me in his haven, he had a gold coin up on the mantelpiece. It had a certain name on it in Latin script, but when once I went to look at it closer, he commanded me never to speak of this coin in his house. Now, this had made me curious because I hadn't been given any context on why he reacted the way he did, what its meaning was. The only thing I knew was old. With me coming here into the city, I was enjoying having a nice old time at the British Museum, just having some memories. We got into a talk with other kindred, and then I mentioned the name. I thought if I could see anyone react to it, I could maybe find out more about it. Well, it caused basically everyone to halfway fly in a panic and get away from me as fast as they could. Well, apart from one gangrel, Carthian, who was just curious to see what all the fuss was about. To cut a long story short, I went outside of the museum because I was expecting, from just the sheer reaction the other people had, that being the kindred, the kind were behaving perfectly normal. I waited for 15 minutes, nothing happened. Walked back into Ordo territory, to Crystal Palace Park. Nothing happened there for a time until aforementioned gangrel kindred showed themselves and made it clear that they had been following me. Were curious to see what the hell was gonna happen, but said for safety's sake, if I wouldn't like to stay over the day at their place, staying away from my retainers and so on. Not quite knowing what I treaded off, I agreed. We went to a haven. We went into the day sleep. Everything seemed normal there. We awoke. The apartment we were was completely black, as if somebody had painted it with some sort of black ichor. And in front of us, there was, also seeming to be made of this similar stuff, a giant owl looking at us with orange eyes.
Can I roll a cult at this point?
Yeah, you can roll again.
Yeah, I thought I'd make a break so that people can do some rolls.
Same penalty?
Same penalty, yeah.
Woo! 1 success.
Okay, you know exactly what the fuck he's talking about.
Nikolai just goes, oh shit, or eyes wide and go, shit, and starts to stand up to leave.
As you go to leave, the Kern raises, gives a very casual gesture towards the door, and you hear the lock click in place when he gestures to it. You mind explaining?
I'm not. Look. I've seen a lot of things in my life. I know I've done a lot of risky things, but I ain't going to be dealing with a court. That is something that no sane kindred would want to deal with.
Marcus
Well,
will remember
apparently-
that.
Well, apparently that called me 3 nights ago has already thrown me into its firing line, so if you would...
puts his hand into his palm, rubs it, and goes, they're going to kill me for this, or my sire will. Whichever comes first, I'm a dead man now. What he was dealing with is something you might have heard of once or twice before. Have you ever heard the term Strix?
His eyes narrow immediately.
You can see why I want to leave.
He gestures again towards the door and it unlocks.
Thank you. And hurries out. Before turning to Marcus and going, sorry.
So that's what they're called. Thanks. Have a good
Didn't ever
life.
say that name in public.
Actually, no, let's go back on that. He's not going to leave. He's just going to flop down back into the chair. He's already said the name.
He has a change of heart. He's like, fuck, I'm fucked anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Out of character, of course.
Door closes again with a gesture from Kern.
Okay. So, after a bit of just looking at this entity and realizing the following, we realized this black ichor somehow it had a beast that was all around us. It literally felt as if we were in the belly of, like, I don't know, a giant kindred, for the lack of something better to compare it to. And then it spoke that it wasn't happy that I mentioned the name that I mentioned, which was the same name that I'd read on the coin and that I'd so unwittingly mentioned in the British Museum. While I was mostly listening to it monologue, the other kindred somehow discovered that there was a way we could escape. That owl creature was saying something about wishing a reparation of some sort, and then I was harried in the crevice between the ceiling and the floor of the apartment above us. I was pushed through first, so I just crawled for dear life, and the gangrel kindred per se followed me. However, that owl spirit, anyway, it transformed itself into a half owl, half humanoid figure, but keeping that viscous quality, that weird shadow black paint, whatever the hell it was, quality, and it had clamped its hand around her ankle. I grabbed her. She also tried to pull herself free. She managed to do that, but the foot was left behind. It commented, nice, you left me something to eat, while it ate on that kindred's foot. The two of us managed to get through a hole in the floorboards. Were able to lever it up with my Bowie knife and strength and just the sheer panic that followed. Got out. There was a human being. I dominated him, telling him that we never were here. He relaxed. We darted. Well, to be more precise, I got the kindred on my back, piggybacked, got out, used back alleys. As we looked back, that human got not even exsanguinated, but it looked as either his soul or his life energy just got sucked out of him in one go. I never saw anything like that before. So anyway, using back alleys, we tried our best and managed to get back to my haven. As far as I know, at least no human saw us, and as I was escaping, it directed its words to me that it will be back, and that we will speak a bit more about reparations. That was 2 nights ago. Nothing else has happened since. And another Ordo acquaintance of mine told me I should come here and explain what has happened and, well, see what happens. Seemed like reasonably good advice, and that's why I showed up here. I wasn't even aware there were people looking for me.
You should have never strayed from us to begin with. But it is clear to me that it seeks to haunt you before killing you.
Yeah, I got the feeling that it was just playing with us, like a cat with a mouse.
It's cute you think it will kill you. Or it's cute you think it will kill him.
It will eventually. They
Not
hunger for
be.
all life, including our own half-lives.
It did mention that it considered kindred kin to itself. I was highly confused about that, quite frankly. Then again, yeah,
Ignore its words. It seeks to distract and tempt you and intimidate you. It is a spirit of malevolence. It knows nothing else than to do such things.
I see.
This is this is beyond my capacity to directly handle. You last saw it at this Carthian apartment,
Carthian's
yes?
Haven, yes.
What is the name of the one that assisted?
Alley Cat. That's what she calls herself. I don't know what her given name is.
Visit to Miss Morales. It surprises me very quickly within a night. That's fine.
That was a bit surprising. I hadn't even told my retainers about it.
He looks down.
It could have been at the most likely one of its agents, or it itself was at the party. Or not the party, but at the museum.
I don't consider that to be a likely possibility. You can both roll wits and empathy on that if you want.
Will do.
-2 dice, but that is his manipulation.
Fair enough.
I got 1 success.
Okay, you think he's just
Okay,
swinging at
3 minus 2 makes it a roll 1. 0 successes. It's fine.
Okay. Okay, Marcus. This guy seems much more knowledgeable about you on the subject, and he's a soldier for your order. He's given that he's been straight with you so far, you have no reason to disbelieve him now. Nikolai, you're pretty sure he's just lying to Marcus to assuage his concerns and prevent any panic from spreading outside the Ordo or within the Ordo.
I see.
I don't take it there is any other sort of role I could do, which would, for example, it doesn't matter actually. Nah, it's fine. He seems trustworthy enough.
To be fair, he's actually he's been a pretty straight shooter so far.
Yeah.
It's like the first. I didn't think I'd have to have this character lie.
It's fine. So,
I'm curious to Nikolai how you came into possession of such knowledge yourself. It is not easily disseminated.
I've worked for. I am new to the vampiric, or I'm maybe a newly made kin, but I've worked for the Ordo for quite some time.
He seems to accept that as a satisfactory answer.
excuse my forwardness, sir. And he's directing that to the Sworn of the Axe. What would your recommendations be from here on out? Things to avoid, or maybe areas, or is there a modus operandi for a situation like this? Have we got a protocol? What would you recommend? I haven't even been a kindred for half a winter, so I'm at your mercy.
Those older than myself would likely suggest, perhaps even order, that I either stake or destroy you in order to protect the greater whole. However, I do not believe that to be necessary, and in this case would be needlessly cruel. However, you have, for your actions, put us at significant risk. I will need to speak with my elders, and they with others. It gives us to take a pretty deep. You will need to sleep here. You will make this place your haven now. To remain alone will be unsafe for yourself and us.
Understood. If I were given the possibility to get to the hotel and grab my few worldly belongings, that would be welcome.
Has
Would
it
you?
been there, and does it know?
I have not seen any owls around my haven, nor did it manifest itself there. Nor to the best knowledge of my retainers.
And you have until tonight.
Okay.
Sorry, until the end of tonight.
Will be doable. As for my retainers, would you prefer them to be here, or would you prefer them to be somewhere else?
They will be placed there.
Out of character, I didn't quite catch it. Ace there?
They will be placed here.
Okay, good. I'll let them know what's going to happen so that they behave themselves. Fine by me.
Once I've spoken with my elders, a second course of action will be decided. Until then, you are to beware any of those who exhibit the same yellow eyes, regardless of whether they look to be an animal, an owl, a human, a kindred.
So that's their telling
If you
sign.
encounter such a... And if you find any kindred who possess... Or if you even suspect that you may be engaging with one of them, you either run or you throw them into the sun.
Do we know if fire is effective on them? If you're allowed to say anything on the matter.
Yes.
Thank you,
But
sir.
be wary.
Understood. Avoid at any
It
cost, and if not possible, engage and destroy. Laugh about
Remember
it
that
civilly.
fire in... Remember that fire invokes the fear in us. While we among the Ordo may be more fortunate, not all of us are. And if you are not, I would be very cautious carrying the means of an incendiary around with you.
Understood.
The spirits have never told beings. They are not as black and white as us. He gets up. A room will be prepared for you and your retainers, your servants. Give me your number.
He writes down his number and gives it to him.
Mr. Nikolai.
Yes.
Your number, please.
Hands him a card with a number.
Thank you. I should be on my way. A pleasant evening to you both.
Thank you. You too.
Then he simply opens the door and he leaves, leaving you two to your own devices.
Well, you right-stepped in it.
Oh, the best thing is I didn't even know what I'd stepped in until it was too late. But here I stand.
No,
Frankly, I came here ready to die. I'm surprised they didn't chop my head off.
this is the Ordo, not the Lonesome Sanctum.
Well, I never mind being pleasantly surprised. Although,
No.
yeah, interesting that you do know as much as you do. But don't worry, I won't mention it to anyone else.
Well, I
Unless I'm ordered to.
make no secret of my training. I came in admitting that I was an expert on our kind.
No,
That's
no, no,
not.
no, no, no. It's fine. I didn't even know that this was part of what it meant to be part of our kind.
No, I am. Suppose that you could say I'm unique in some ways, given my knowledge.
That you are. I don't guess one could get catch-up courses with you, right?
There's the problem that what I know, I don't know what is allowed to be known, as it were.
Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit annoying when there isn't secret, top secret, and other stuff stamped on. Yeah, good old folders. Mind you, that was an upside with the work I used to do. It was pretty clear what you could tell and what you couldn't.
You have retainers, though.
Yes.
Interesting. No surprise given your coil expertise. But I suppose we are wasting time
Yeah.
chatting. Would you like an escort?
Ah. Well, to be fair, since you'll be seeing them around, it's no secret anymore. Won't be shortly, so yes. I don't take it you have got a ride handy, or will we have to take the subway?
My character probably has a car.
Very good. He gives you the address for a cheapo hotel in Ordo territory.
All right.
I would say we work our way through the London traffic as usual.
Yep.
And arrive at the hotel, unless anything happens on the way.
No, nothing happens.
Okay, fair enough. They're in front of the hotel. Marcus looks at Nikolai. Do you want to wait down here, or do you want to come up?
He'll come up.
Okay.
His curiosity is getting to him.
Fair enough. They'll find themselves in front of a just a sec of yeah of a thing of the hotel door. Puts the key card in, opens up. Hey guys, it's me. I brought a guest. It's fine. He's with me. Are the retainers there? And if so,
Yes.
in what
Well, actually-
condition?
One of them is out.
Mhm.
Richard is there.
The other one is Thomas.
One second.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Please continue.
Hey, Thomas. Went a little better than expected. I see Richard's out. Okay. If you could text him
Sir,
that.
yes.
Oh.
Thomas went out to simply get some groceries. He'll be back very soon.
Yeah. Okay. Good. There's been a change of plans. We'll be relocating our base from here to the Ordo Chantry. It's also to a certain extent for our security. Regarding the, and he makes air quotes, owl problem.
Sir? Tilts his head, looks very confused. I hope there's nothing we have done to cause a problem, sir.
No, this is just to increase the security for you guys and my person. You guys did nothing wrong. In fact,
Okay,
so
so
far
then-
you've been exemplar.
Well, thank you, sir. You flatter me. You give us far too much praise. But if we are to move, then if we may, we'll begin packing.
Yes, please. You took care of the stuff of you two. I'll get. Damn it. I'll go to the bathroom and grab everything out there. And I'll also be taking care of my own bundle, so don't worry. And Marcus will start gathering up his stuff. Should I toss a coin to see if he also decides to take the towels with him, or if he leaves them?
Oh no, that might be a humanity check.
You know,
it won't be.
it's a humanity check to leave them. Because towels are extremely useful. I mean, just look at
Hitchhiker's Guide Through the Galaxy.
You always want your towel.
Okay, does it seem particularly immoral to not take at least one towel?
Take as many as you like.
Nah, you know what? He will not steal the towel. After all, he's not the person paying for the room. It would be unfair towards Julian. Yeah, okay. He'll leave the towels be. But he'll definitely be stealing some of the soap.
Well, it doesn't take long for your ghouls
But yeah,
to get ready.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of worldly possessions.
They have
That
they
either-
have had
yeah.
you notice they have since the move they have progressively less possessions on their person. But yes, they are ready to go.
Excellent. There's a
Soon
sorry
Thomas
that
comes back, gets himself sorted.
okay. Texts. Okay. Thomas has come back. Get themselves sorted. Okay, boys. Nikolai here will be so nice and give us a lift. Won't you, old chum? And Marcus puts his arm over Nikolai's shoulder.
Nikolai looks a little uncomfortable at that, but he'll nod.
Oh, that is just silent revenge for something long, long ago.
Yeah.
After just a moment too long, he will take his arm off Nikolai.
As Nikolai leads him out, he'll ask, "So these are your retainers, eh?"
Yes.
Interesting. They don't really take you. Ghouls?
Yes. It was a precaution.
Precaution how?
Out of character, I'll be right back. I just have to move rooms.
Okay.
Long story.
Because totally going to throw the bomb at him. As my guy is slowly looking for a retainer for himself, but is more than wants a security thing or someone who can talk.
Okay.
These.
So I'm back.
I was just going to give Nikolai a quick rundown on your.
Yeah.
Both men that seem to be around Marcus's age, and while they don't appear particularly wealthy or well dressed, they do obviously possess the loyalty of Gauls. They
Yeah.
appear to be fairly well trained.
Noted.
They've definitely been through a training regimen of some variety or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you asked me why.
Yeah.
Well, I had faced something that, if I could, I would have pissed my pants. That encounter with you know what was quite a number. Had I known that there were threats like that out there, oh boy, I might not even have entered London, just for the sheer paranoia of it. So, yes, amongst other things, I ghouled them, as you guys call it, just to make sure that they were a bit tougher, faster, should it come to a confrontation with it.
Well, I suppose it's always good to have loyal soldiers around.
They're more than that. They stuck to me when nobody else was. When I'd fallen down the cracks, they were there. They welcomed me in their group. So when I saw that there was the possibility of getting off the streets and into the hotel room, thanks to a fellow Ordo member, I grasped at it.
And you blood-bought them along the way? I said, and when exactly did you choose to blood bond them?
About 3 months back.
Interesting.
Why are you so curious?
just never took you for a man who would tame someone with their blood like that. Then again, you are a
Tame
veteran.
them? What the hell are you talking about?
Blinks and goes, I see. This must be one of those things you are ignorant of.
His arrows, his eyes narrow as you say that.
Yeah.
If
Nikolai
you
looks kind of almost ashamed when he says that. He goes, I am, as you know, not that good at this whole talk, as you Englishmen call it, talking thing. But I can try to explain the best I can.
It would be welcome if there are any ugly side effects. I would like to know about that.
Have you noticed any changes in your companions, comrades, personalities?
They are a little bit more formal than they used to be. Mind you, all of us are ex-forces members, so we have a certain tone, and it probably doesn't help that I told them when other kindred are around to make a certain hierarchy clear.
But have they demonstrated that same hierarchy outside of when alone with you?
To be fair, when we're aware that there are no other kindred around, we're at ease. Come to think of it, seriously, guys, take it relaxed. We're fine now. I think we're scaring our mate here.
Lucas murmurs to himself, yes, X-Forces. One could certainly manifest that way. Right. Turns to Marcus. Or turns to Ghouls. You two. I must ask. To you, who is Mr. Irons? Okay, he's muted, so instead I'll go on with Marcus instead. Marcus. I don't know how to break this to you. But how much do you know what our blood does to others?
I know that if you feed our vitae to a human, it can make them stronger, more long-lasting. One thing I do know, though, is if they're a ghoul for too long, if, let's say, they've been a ghoul for 100 years and you were to stop feeding them your blood, they would quickly age those 100 years. That is not in my plans, to say the least.
There's more to it.
Oh?
First, our vitae is a naturally addictive substance. Ours, being what we are, with significance behind what we, as in him and me and you, as in the coil, we know. Our blood is significantly more addictive. That is the rules of the first coil. I'm surprised you were not aware of that at the very least. But going on.
Out of character, he's in a different coil.
Oh, he's in. You changed coils.
Yeah, but I'm more than happy to do the whole
There-
thing that the people who taught him the first coil of ascendants gave him the wrong name just because they would dig
Okay.
holes.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll leave that aside, as my character will go on and go. The coils, or blood. The vitae has almost a. By the way, he's brought you guys into the car by this point.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not going to talk about this on the street.
No. We're in the car
Yeah.
driving back. Yeah.
Vitae, when another individual, either mortal, vampire, or some other supernatural, drinks from a vampire's vitae, from our blood, a bond is created. What we call, in short term, is called a blood bond. However, there are many other names for it. One sec, I actually call up the blood. It stirs the drinker's soul. Creates an artificial connection of sorts. The more blood one might easily confuse the connection it creates with love, with a or with the symptoms of love. But the more you drink, the stronger this addiction, this feeling becomes. The stronger and more, the stronger it overtakes you. How do I say this? How do I break it gently?
I've made slaves of them?
In a way.
Marcus's expression is just downright horrified.
I've experienced what they're going through. Right now, to even go against you, to even cause harm, be it to even think of causing harm to you, be it physical, mental, anything such as that, is a downright sin against their very being. The thought, the very idea horrifies them.
Marcus looks back at the two men who he unwittingly did that to, and just stammers that he's horribly sorry, that he didn't know, and he's, just sort of head shaking, arms shaking. He just buries his face in his hands, and just very silently you hear the trickle of vitae falling down on his jeans. Just muttering, "This is so fucked up."
Nikolai, for his part, gives an awkward there pat. Question is, are
yeah.
either of the ghouls seeing all this, reacting?
Yeah, and Thomas, well, actually, Thomas just goes, So have we done something wrong? Is there something we can do to help?
If Marcus wants to get himself a bit together again, would he have to spend a willpower?
No.
Okay. He just grabs the last piece of t-shirt that had been ripped for Molotovs, but turned out that they had plenty, and he tries his best to wipe it away. No, I just fucked up again. I'll fuck. Marcus has wiped most of the vitae away, but there's still some slightly red stains on his face. It's a bitch to clean, and just goes like, "Fuck's sake! Is there any way I can reverse this? It's not fair towards them. Not after all they have done for me. These are men I've called brothers, and I still think of them as such."
There are some ways of pulling. There are some ways of doing what you seek. The easiest is to simply leave them without blood for a year. There are some other ways, more supernatural. Perhaps you can, with study and time, you could find something within. You could find a scale within the Ordo's many books that could do what you seek.
I see. Well,
meantime, there's in the meantime, given the trouble you've been in, keeping them ghouls may not be a bad idea. And the blood bond does offer them some forms of protection.
Are they cursed with some form of a beast, like we are? Because
No.
I didn't see any of that behavior yet. Well, I guess I'd like to say God, but that would be probably genuine. Thank goodness for small mercies, I guess.
And
oh, man.
One thing I will say.
Please. At this point, I'm like an almost naked baby in the fucking woods. Any advice is welcome.
This may not be. I'm not sure how to say this without saying a jerk, or without.
Then be a jerk. I'll survive it.
Gestures back to the ghouls and says, "You two. Are you happy right now?"
Are we not meant to be?
Oh, you're meant to be. My question is, are you?
Yes, we are content, if slightly concerned at the spontaneous. But we are fine, yes.
Turns, as he continues driving, says to Nick, Marcus, they are well blood bonded. Your joy is their joy. when they know that you are happy with them, they are happy. They, well, might not seem like a consolation. Well, it might make things worse. Know that what you bring them is at least a form of happiness. Happiness. Life as a life blood bonded is a bit more simple. And their will is not like a domination or or higher forms of majesty. Their will is not completely stripped.
Understood. And he's fully gathered himself again by then. Men, if you've got any concerns, feel free to ask me. I'd definitely be happier to know if you have any concerns than if you keep them from me. And I'm sure 9 out of 10 times, I'm sure we'll be able to find a way to deal with it. For what it's worth, I'm sorry what I did to you guys. I really didn't mean to. But for what it's worth, I'm also happy that I have you guys around. You're the best mates a guy could ask for. And he moves back, looking straight ahead.
You're the
Trying.
only friend we need.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikolai. The truth is a hard one to swallow, but I'd rather swallow it and face it for what it is than what I would like it to be. And Marcus pulls a face as if the following he's going to say he doesn't really like saying, but has to jump his own shadow anyway. Nikolai, could I ask you for a small to medium-sized favor?
Raises an eyebrow.
I am missing I am missing parts of the education that I know undoubtedly would have gotten under my sire, but just couldn't fucking stand anymore. Would you be willing to check just my general kindred knowledge, see if there are any holes there that would need filling, to avoid shit like this happening? I would, of course, make it worth your time somehow. If you need help with something, I'd also be willing to help out, or I don't know, if you need a study assistant or whatever. I'd be willing to repay you in one shape or form, if you were willing.
Very well. I have a feeling that I will be spending some time at the Crucible anyways.
Yeah, might as well make the best of it. Think of it as helping me just getting my O-levels done so that I then can move on to some more scholarly pursuits. But I think if my basis isn't solid, I'm more likely to put my foot into things that I really shouldn't.
Very well.
Deal?
Yeah.
And he offers a hand. Deal. And he shakes it.
doesn't give you a hand because he has 2 hands on a wheel.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. His deal is good enough.
Yep. But I think that's
Yeah,
it
that's a
for
good place.
Yeah.
So,
As suddenly
All right.
Nikolai becomes the teacher. The horror, the horror.
Good job. You did it. All right. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. And we'll see you all next time in another night of Vampire for Requiem. Thank you, one and all.